Marcy Winograd joins us, the president of Progressive Democrats of Los Angeles, PDLA. I think that's pdla.org, is it not, Mimi? And she is, once again, has announced her intentions to be the Democratic primary challenger against the embattled Democratic Representative Jane Harman in California's 36th Congressional District. She joins us now from somewhere here in L.A., but you couldn't make it in. Hey, Marcy, welcome to the show. Oh, I got to do this. There we go. Hey, Marcy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brad. It's great to be with you and Mimi tonight.
We're so glad you could join us here, and I'm so glad we can help you get the word out, about your campaign, because these Democrats, Marcy, are driving me nuts.
I'm sure they are.
Why? Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I am talking to you right now from Arturo Rodriguez's 60th birthday party. He's the president of the United Farm Workers Union. I'm here at the Biltmore Hotel in Los Angeles. I'm listening to Bobby Kennedy talk about how he traveled with his father through the South and how the people came to the train and waved to him and were so excited about his father's campaign and the hope that he extended to the world, to this country. And yet, a few years later, these same people were coming out to support George Wallace. And he said, how is this possible? Yep. Because George Wallace was the antithesis of his father. Yep. And his answer was, you know what? People were looking for hope. My father offered hope, and that's what attracted them. Sometimes people make mistakes. There's, the light and the shadow. Yep. But that it's so important that we as leaders, community leaders, reach out to those and offer hope and a vision of what could be, as opposed to how terrible things are right now. And I feel that's what's really important in this campaign.
Well, it is, Marcy, but the one...
Ooh.
Is that cheers for what she had to say, or
yeah, that's the roar of the crowd.
Hope is important, but you know what, Marcy, we had a lot of hope. We put a guy in the White House who promised hope and change, and I don't know that we are getting it, that the Democrats are getting it. I suspect that's one of the reasons why you're running against Jane Harman. You told us, we ran a story at BradBlog.com today, where you promised to hold Obama accountable. Why are these Democrats in D.C., the ones who have been privileged to be elected and to serve us, why are they not getting it, not delivering on things like single-payer health care and all of these other things that we expected?
Brad, I have to say, I am as disappointed as you are. I think it's up to us, as radio announcers, as media activists, as grassroots change agents, to really hold these people's feet to the fire. Just last week, Mimi and I a healthcare forum sponsored by Congress's office, where there was a whole panel, and not one person on that panel was there to speak about single payer. Well, that didn't go over so well with the crowd, and the next thing I knew, I was on that panel talking about single payer, and now I hear that Congressman Waxman will be holding hearings, which he had refused to do, on single payer this week in Washington. So I think we just have to keep on.
That's right.
And we can't stop here. We just, and in terms of the war and the occupation of Iraq and Afghanistan, I say, you know what? Now is not the time to let up. Absolutely. We cannot think that the anti-war movement has morphed into the Elect Obama movement and is now comatose.
Well,
it is time to wake up.
We have to follow the money is still one of the quickest ways to political enlightenment. And healthcare, not warfare, is the way that progressive Democrats have characterized what's going on in Washington. I can still hear the Akashic wind.
But it might be her cell phone. But we may be asking a lot. Aren't we asking a lot? I mean, folks turned out in droves, obviously, in 2008. They got a Democrat in the White House, both chambers of Congress, and now what? We still have to do more to get them to hold their feet accountable?
The job's not over. Clearly, the job's not over.
The lobbyists
very few heroes, right, in Congress last week say we will not vote for that supplemental, another $100 billion for Iraq and Afghanistan. My hat is off to Dennis Kucinich, who, as I hear, was the only person who took to the floor of Congress and argued against that supplemental. We need to be louder.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Mimi.
I was going to say the lobbyists are being paid $150,000 a year to show show up at 9 a.m. every day in some congressman's office to say what they want. They're making money doing that job. No progressive that I know is making money doing that job. They are, doing it voluntarily. There are some people who are paid, but they're not highly paid, and there are not as many of them as there are the lobbyists for the pharma industrial complex, the medical industrial complex.
But how do you compete? Marcy, you need to raise a lot of money to take on this very powerful Democrat, Jane Harman. How do we compete with these kind of numbers?
It's quite challenging because, look, face it, you need $400,000 to $500,000 to run a credible campaign for Congress. That's what it costs.
Yeah.
Can you do it for less? You could, but it would be nice to have that kind of money. So I'm appealing to communities like the Armenian community, the Greek community, the Persian community, to support me and to work not just in terms of holding fundraisers and coffees, but to really walk precincts, because we need a very strong precinct operation. We need neighbors in their precincts to take ownership of those precincts and talk to their neighbors. That's the only way we can win. Look, Brad, I cannot come up with $500 million. That's the estimated net worth of Jane Harman. Well, actually, I think she lost $100 million last year in the meltdown.
Whoa.
You're talking $400 million. Okay, I can't compete with that kind of money. The only way we can absolutely compete is through community organizing.
And that's where the passion does come in, because when you do talk to neighbors and you get through the divisions and the fictions that have been that have conditioned us to see things as good and evil, people can understand when you propose a solution. And then once you get in the White House and once you reelect Congress people, Dennis Kucinich, God bless him, he did get on the floor of Congress and say, pretty soon the only thing that's going to be left made in America will be war. And he made that connection. Nobody said, hey, it's going to be too difficult to make $2 trillion for this war you want to fight,
but it's
Bush.
Dennis Kucinich, and so they don't put him on, on CNN, on TV.
Right.
Bill Maher said over the weekend that he didn't even think Barack Obama was liberal. Why? Because he's seen Barack Obama on TV, and he knows that real liberals, Ralph Nader, Dennis Kucinich, they're not allowed on TV, and when they are, they're treated like buffoons.
Right.
Marcy, go ahead.
That's the big challenge. I mean, to legitimize what we stand for, and that is diplomacy, not war.
Thank you.
Not except war, perhaps as a very last resort, but not war as a systemic way of doing business, which
and
is
a
what
way
we
to
have
punish
in the United
people
States.
we don't like.
Yes, and I think that the pressure not just needs to be applied not just to those who we identify as hawks, but to those who are our friends as well. Not in an antagonistic or necessarily confrontational way, but we need to ask the chairs of all these caucuses, the Progressive Caucus, the Out of Iraq Caucus, the Congressional Black Caucus, when are you holding your caucuses to strategize on how to end this occupation in Iraq and Afghanistan? When? We want to be there.
And
I want to be there. I plan to be there, and I plan to lead that effort when I go to Congress.
We're speaking with Marcy Winograd, and you can get more information on her run for Congress against Jane Harman, Democratic Jane Harman. Marcy is a progressive Democrat from the Democratic wing of the Democratic Party. You've heard so much about. You can get more information on her at winogradforcongress.com. Is it .com or .org, or does it matter?
It's .com, and also if you want to stay on top of the latest developments, you can go to my Facebook page, which is Marcy Winograd for Congress.
There you go. Facebook.
You mentioned healthcare.
Yeah.
Brad, I wanted to talk about that for a minute because if you watch Keith Olbermann or Rachel Maddow in the coming weeks, you may just see a commercial. I'm going to start airing a commercial. We raised money through an internet campaign where I am on a video standing outside of Harbor General in Torrance saying I'm running for Congress in 2010, but I, Marcy Winograd, am not going to wait until 2010 to challenge Jane Harman. I challenge her right here, right now, in front of this hospital to sign on to the most economic, most efficient health care plan out there, and that is Congressman John Conyers' bill for single-payer health care, H.R. 676. So we're going to take this campaign to the airwaves, and we're going to encourage primary challengers to come forth and do exactly that, because we need to put single payer on the table.
And what's Jane Harman's position on single payer? Actually, hold that thought. We're going to find out that position after this break.